New York Times and USA Today best-selling author of the award-winning middle class or middle grade series, Keeper of the Lost Cities, Shannon Messenger is here to talk about her latest book, Keeper of the Lost Cities, Stellarlune. Good morning, Shannon. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, and we're excited to have you on the show. So, what is it about the Keeper of the Lost Cities series that keeps young readers coming back for more?
This is the question I ask myself every time I sit down to write the next book. Like, how do I do it again? How do I capture them? I feel like it comes down to the characters. The story has a big cast, and that was very intentional. I really wanted it to be not just like one kid saving the day, but a whole team of them. I've always been drawn to the stories more like the Avengers or the X-Men or something where it's this big group and everyone's different and everyone has their own backstory, everyone has their own power, everyone has their own reason for being there, and you get to really watch that all unfold. And that's very much how the Keeper series is. And I think that that really gives readers the freedom to kind of pick and choose who they connect with and what they love about the story, and what they want to focus on, and whether it be that they're loving the main character or that they're loving one of the sort of side characters that also play a huge role. It really, they get to decide, and I feel like that's something that kids really respond well to, is sort of having that variety to choose from.
You know what's also very interesting and amazing, Shannon, is the fact that they're still reading books, they're still using their imagination, rather playing that video game where they're attacking each other and going after each other. Tell us about Sophie Foster. She is such a likable character and a strong female protagonist. What does she teach young readers by way of example in Stellarlune?
I mean, throughout the whole course of the series, Sophie's real struggle is belonging. We meet her in book one, and she is living with humans, thinks she's human, but also knows that she's very different, that she can read minds and do things that she has to hide because she just wants to blend in. And then she finds out that she's not human, and that she belongs to this secret world called the Lost Cities, and that it's time for her to go live there. And she gets there and she's just very much like, okay, I finally belong, I just want to blend in, no more secrets, no more being different. And she slowly realizes, oh, I'm still very different. Like, there were reasons that I was hidden away, and I have powers that even I don't understand. And really, her journey throughout the course of the whole series is learning to be okay with that, learning to say, you know what, I am who I am. And maybe it's good that I'm different from other people. And I feel like that's a theme that readers, especially in that core middle grade age group, are really themselves wrestling with. You're trying to figure out who you are, and you're probably realizing that you're not like everybody else, because nobody's like everybody else. There is no normal, and that it's really learning to be okay with who you are and surround yourself with people who support you and say, yeah, it's okay to be who you are. And that's really, especially in Stellarlune, what Sophie is really kind of having to step up and say, yeah, I'm going to step into this role that has been designed for me, and I'm going to be okay with it, even if it doesn't always make me popular, even if it sometimes intimidates me. And it's really fun to watch her. It's sort of, I'm sort of like this mom looking at her like, my little girl's growing up. It's very exciting.
Now, it has to be. Has your training as a filmmaker helped you to think cinematically and see the entire series before you ever put pen to paper, or does each story evolve organically?
It's a little of both. I mean, definitely you were taught. I think honestly, even in any sort of creative writing, you want to have some sort of consistency. You want it to feel like there is actually a driver behind this vehicle, and that it's not just running amok and who knows what's going to happen. But at the same time, we were taught very strongly that your first ideas are rarely your best ideas. They're usually kind of the most predictable, and they're certainly not the moments where it's the plot twist that just makes everyone go, whoa. That usually comes with time. So I really tried to work on building a foundation to the story, and like a problem that the villains are creating and everything that is consistent throughout, but then also leaving myself room, especially as the heroes are sort of dealing with the villains, of saying, you know what, that's way better. Like what they're gonna do to stop them, or what they're gonna, or what the villains are gonna do in retaliation, like that's way better than what I had come up with originally, and we're gonna go with that, because those fresh ideas end up being so much better than the original stuff that you came up with, 10 years ago.
So, Shannon, as a filmmaker, are we going to see Keeper of the Lost Cities on the big screen?
I sure hope so. There's definitely stuff going on behind the scenes that I'm never allowed to talk about. But it is also one of those things where, these are big books and they would require a big budget for a movie. So it's a slow process, it's a thing where everybody involved wants to get it right because they don't want to blow hundreds of millions of dollars on a flop, and I don't want them to take my book and turn it into something that readers will be like, oh. So everyone's sort of working behind the scenes to really make sure that we do everything in our power to try and get it right, which of course makes it a little bit of a slow process, but it also, hopefully means that when it happens, everyone will be like, yes.
And I'm sitting here just going, you're absolutely right, because Disney and Marvel had set the standards. So you got to match those standards if you're going to do
Yeah.
something like this.
I think we've all
Shannon,
seen movies based on a book we love and just been like, oh, and we're trying very hard to not have that happen.
you're absolutely right. We will not get into those, but you're absolutely right. They're speaking with Shannon Messenger about Keeper of the Lost Cities. Again, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Blend. And you know what? I really hope that you can sell this to Disney or Marvel and we can see it on the big screen.
That would be great. We're hoping for all the good things.
Thank you again.
Thank you.